just saw it with Miami Dolphins. The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle. It's a Dolphin touchdown. Going deep upfield on the near side. Man open. Touchdown! Looking deep. He's got a man. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown! Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached a great offensive lineman in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another episode as we meet you all at the finish line, along with my co-host, the legendary Richmond Webb and Mr. Fly All the Time.
Fly.
Mr. BallGame.
Oh, G. It's the G. That's him.
How are y'all boys doing tonight on the eve of schedule release?
Oh, I'm good. Like you say, I think everybody's scratching the days off the calendar. The draft, the mini camps, OTAs, this and that. So it'll be a matter of time before the game starts. And I think that's what, everybody's excited about. And then I could tell everybody was excited because I was on Twitter and I think they delayed the announcement of the schedule for, all the teams, this and that. So definitely everybody's waiting. And then I found out that, we'll talk about that, I guess, but we're actually going to Germany to play the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think that's definitely a key matchup along with a couple of other ones and stuff I saw on Twitter. So I'm in a good mood, this and that, and happy to be back on the show with you guys. How you doing, Mr. BallGame?
All is well. All is well. I take the approach. It don't matter who they put on the schedule. It don't matter what we playing. As long as we get the W and we keep it moving progress, we moving forward. That's all that matters to me. I don't care who they stack this day. They can try all they want, but I think this team is ready. And football is up on us, man. It's great. This is the best time of the year, I think, right? When things start to ramp up again and guys got to go burn off all of the bad habits that they did in terms of bad eating and whatnot and just relaxing and then get their minds focused back on the job at hand, which is trying to go get this trophy. So, yeah, it's a good time right now. Very exciting. So they dropped the schedule.
Yeah. The schedule drops tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I'll be live with me and Neil will be live for the schedule release tomorrow night for our episode of Fin Too Deep. And then on the weekend, I'll be live for my prospect profile of Devin A-Chain. Just dropped the Cam Smith one. If you haven't had a chance, go check that out. Also, tonight's a night where the Heat and the Florida Panthers can clinch. Florida Panthers are up 3-0 in the series on the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they're currently trailing 1-0 heading into the third period. and the Heat are up 3-1 on the Knicks, and I believe it's 56-49 in the second right now for the Knicks. So both teams trailing, but hey, please let the Leafs get swept tonight. Please. Oh my God, I'm praying for it. Oh my Lord. You don't know how many I hate the Leafs, man. I hate the Leafs. All my friends are Leaf fans. And I've had to hear about for my whole life how good they are and how great they are. And they haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967, but they're still somehow great. I've had to listen to this. Well, my teams won 5 Stanley Cups since 91, but I had to sit here and listen to these guys talk about how great they are. Give me a break. I hope the Panthers wipe the floor. I hope the Panthers score 6 goals in the third period and win 6-1 and knock them out. That's where I'm at. So anyways, as far as the Knickerbockers are concerned and the Heat, all I know is Jimmy's that dude, bro.
He ain't even started getting hot yet. He ain't even heated up yet.
Man, imagine if they had like a legit, and I get Bam and stuff, but you know what I mean. Imagine if they had like a legit number 2 with him, like a legit Robin to the Batman over there. Oh my God, bro! Like if they got CJ McCollum or Damian Lillard, there'd be a legitimate problem. Because I was telling all y'all, obviously up here, Lowry was never the answer. I could have told y'all Lowry wasn't going to be the answer. Man, I remember people seem to forget when the Raptors. You might remember BallGame. You remember the Raptors when LeBron was in Cleveland? We could not beat the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron. We could not. And I remember him and Lowry and DeMar Rosen. They used to just throw up bricks, bro. And they used to, I remember us losing after game, and they'd be, and the Toronto media would make, they were staying after the games and still shooting on the court after everyone had left. And I'm thinking, like, if you're doing that after you just lost game 4 in the second round of the playoffs, we are FUCKED, all right? I don't know what to tell you. So anyways, man, sports is alive and well, and we're about to join the fray with some football very soon. So let's start off and talk about the announcements today. Let's start off with the first one. And the first one was that the Miami Dolphins are traveling to Frankfurt. Ich weiß das nicht. And that is, I actually did legitimately just speak German on air. I'm not even lying. I didn't just speak gibberish.
That was pretty good.
Don't go look it up because there were some curse words in there. And but there you go, November 5th. It looks like it's going to be a 9 a.m. kickoff at the Deutsche Stadium. And boys, listen, I think they missed the boat here. Listen, with all the trash talking that's already started between Tyreek and the Chiefs, Chris Jones talking trash, Tyreek's talking trash. Man, this should have been week 1, Thursday night in Arrowhead. Tyreek's homecoming. They took away Tyreek's homecoming for a game in Frankfurt. I mean, I don't know. Listen, whatever. Well, we're playing in Germany. But I think this is a missed opportunity. Plus, I wanted that W in Arrowhead. I know you said it don't matter who we play or whatever BallGame, but this is one of those things, especially with Tyreek on the roster. You wanted that W in, especially after a couple years ago where Tua almost brought us back. That W in Arrowhead, one of the hardest places to win in the NFL, would have been a little sweeter than a W in Frankfurt, no?
I mean, I can't argue that. But, at the end of the day,
it's a city named after a sausage, BallGame. It's a city named after a sausage, all right?
Hey, there's no 2 better teams to go over there and publicize and broaden the horizon and the name of the NFL, and that's what this is all about, right? They know that there's a lot of motion around these 2 teams, and they want to make sure that the world the people on the other side of the world get to see it too, and try to draw them in and expand this NFL brand. So that's what this is. I get it. I would have loved to have us go to Arrowhead and stick it to them there as well. But, the NFL got their own vision. I'm just glad we're a part of the vision. They could have picked 30 other teams, but they picked us. So I'm going to take the positives away from it. They recognize that this game means a lot, and it's going to mean a lot to both. So we get to see them early and then possibly see them in the playoffs when we run through them to go to the Super Bowl. So it is what it is.
What are your thoughts, Richmond, because we were talking before we went live here. I mean, you went all the way over to Tokyo. This is a bit of a further flight, I believe, than England, right? I saw someone on Twitter saying to Dolphin fans, "Hey, how are you guys already posting airplane tickets and hotels booked?" Because this guy was saying just for flying out of South Beach was costing him over $1,000. So it's a little bit more of an expensive trip than the England one, it seems, as well. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, I agree with BallGame. It's good for the brand, but I wanted to beat Patty and KC, baby. I wanted his delinquent brother to watch us lay that whooping in Arrowhead.
Well, like you said, it's definitely about the brand. I agree. It would have been great to see Tyreek go back to Arrowhead or whatever the name is of the stadium now, but to go back there and especially after the season he had last year, which would show he can still be one of the top receivers even after leaving an offense like that, and Patrick Mahomes. And I know who he wanted to go home and give him that work and let him know that, and just in case y'all forgot, I'm still that same guy that used to be here and do that. But NFL is about making money, expanding, and they do one of the best jobs I've ever seen of all, the sports franchises and this and that. So it was definitely great matchup for overseas. It would have been a great matchup, but over here it's big draw. So even though the game's 8, 9 o'clock in the morning here, the ratings will probably really be good. I mean, that's really, to me, the way the teams match up. That could have been a huge prime time game, either Thursday, Sunday, Monday night. That was it. So, but they decided to do that, and they got their reasons. It's definitely about the dollar bill, but it's definitely branding and this and that. And I'm sure they're gonna sell a lot of merchandise, this and that, because believe it or not, the Dolphins have a huge following overseas in the different countries and stuff like that, even when I played. So
we have a German fan. Shout out to we got Pro Special. He always shows up in the chat and he always shows support. I mean, you can see right there, he's German. And he was just talking about how a lot of Patriots and Seahawks fans over there too, and Packers fans. But he's got to be hyped because a fan like that. I remember when the Dolphins, listen, I always go down and watch you guys. Even when you were there with my parents, I'd go down and watch Ralph Wilson all the time. But remember when they came and played the Bills at the Sky Dome like 15, 16 years ago? Do you remember that? Like, that was exciting. You know what I mean? But I get it. It's exposure. And I mean, remember last year, I don't know, do you guys remember how they started all those Twitter accounts? Like, and they started associating teams with certain parts of like like South America and Europe and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys saw that, but they started like doing that, like Brazil and Spain and all this kind of stuff, because the word is they want to eventually have 4 teams over there in a division in Europe. You guys remember they had the Europe? Remember the Europe? What was it called? The European NFL.
NFL Europe.
Yeah, you remember that?
World League, the World League.
Yeah, you remember that?
Mm-hmm. And
didn't they have a team in Frankfurt? I'm pretty sure they did, if I remember correctly. Pretty sure they did. Yep. So
Amsterdam, they had several teams over there,
and
it was
Ricky should have gone and played in Amsterdam.
No. Hey, they got some stuff over there, bro. They say knock you on your back. I mean, it's so strong. You might hit it one time and that's it. It's just
they got that right here. My son's picked up some of that. It's last Wednesday.
Yeah, man.
All right. Now, the other announcement that came after that, sticking, because we did have 2 games announced today. The first ever Black Friday football game, 3 p.m. on Black Friday, to make up for the no Thursday game right there on Amazon. It's going to be on Prime. Tua, Aaron Rodgers. And, I said this, it's kind of fitting they put it on Black Friday, because it's going to be a dark, dark day for Jets fans when they realize they made all this fuss about an aging quarterback only to get their ass whooped on Black Friday by Tua and the Dolphins. I kind of want to talk about, this is 2-pronged, but I want to talk about here. This is the first ever Black Friday game. So, I mean, you look at the Frankfurt announcement now, this, They're not prime time, but the world will be watching at 9 a.m. when we're the only game on, and on Black Friday at 3 p.m. when we're the only game on. So they're like prime time light. They're like daylight savings prime time. So we're getting some respect in that aspect. But on top of this, have you guys noticed how much all of a sudden these power rankings and NFL Network and anyone are just overhyping this Aaron Rodgers thing? Like all of a sudden this makes the Jets a legitimate AFC championship. It's like they didn't watch when we played them how we didn't have Tua and Waddle was giving Sauce the work all game, but he just didn't have a quarterback to throw to him. I mean, what do they think is going to happen this game? So your guys' thoughts on the first ever Black Friday football game involving the Miami Dolphins? Because this is a little nod to respect to it. They're taking notice of what we got on the field this year. That's for sure.
Well, for me, anytime you make the playoffs, even though we didn't win, I knew we would get more opportunities to be prime time. And now it gives us even more exposure, this and that. And like you say, not really considered prime time, but I consider Black Friday a prime time game because probably, I don't know if this is the only game they got on that day because only played 2 or 3.
It is
on Thanksgiving. So yeah, it's a prime time. Everybody be watching because he says nothing else on. And then you got to look at it with the Jets. You sign a big time quarterback, this and that. So they're going to protect their brand. They're going to hype the Jets up. They're going to do this and that, blah, blah, blah. So that's to be expected. And even a lot of people had the Jets surpassing us because they, as far as predictions, because, Aaron Rodgers signed with him. And I mean, I understand his resume and stuff, but really it's other factors that factor into that. So you always got to take that into consideration. But they're selling it. They're hyping up the New York fan base, and that's probably the largest market in the NFL is New York. So anytime a team that can hype up and do good in New York is good. So I understand what they're doing, but I think we still gonna give them what they want to. Gonna send them home with that L right there up in their house. So I'm just glad we got the primetime game, and then other people will really be able to see because if nobody else is on, you get everybody watching, and they're going, "Hey man, these guys are legit."
Well, look what this has done too. This has kind of screwed the MetLife takeover because how many fans are going to be making this travel time around Thanksgiving to make a Black Friday game down in at 3 p.m. in New York?
Yeah, that's tough. Like you said, right after Thanksgiving, this and that. So some people probably make that trip, but probably won't have the participation that you normally have in a game like this, just due to the holiday being the previous day before and this and that. And people normally try to spend time with families and stuff. But yeah, I still think we don't give them what they want. We're going to hand them that L and keep on moving. So I'm good with it.
What are your thoughts, BallGame? The overhype on Rodgers is so real, bro. Like, geez.
I don't give two blank about a guy that was this close to retiring, you know what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden they want to act like he's the best thing since sliced bread. I don't see anything about that team that makes me feel like we need to sit up and be overly concerned about it. All of the publicity that the Dolphins got this year, they earned it, right? I think the Jets are us along for the ride. The NFL got to do their due diligence, like Richmond said, to ensure that there's competitive games across the board and games that people want to see to try to keep the hype up. But at the end of the day, they're going to catch an L just like most other teams going to be on our schedule. They're going to catch an L. It is what it is. Aaron Rodgers, the best Aaron Rodgers was 7 years ago, in my opinion. That guy been gone out the building. And I don't.
Well, can we agree, BallGame? It was easier to win in the NFC North the past couple of years than it has been in the AFC East, and how's that worked out for him?
Exactly. There was, and you know what? And to all, they really wasn't that shit when Detroit beat them. So he was there for that too. And then changing the guard is happening right in front of him. And at the end of the day, he contemplated retirement. Like the dude was ready to pack it in and go home, bruh. Like, you really believe he 100%? You know what I'm saying? I know, $60 million. These dummies gave him $60 million, but you really believe he was sitting there? Yeah, he here for the money now. And when it gets crazy, he got an excuse. oh well, I'm just not 100% myself. I'm not fully back off of my journey yet, but we'll get it together. You know what I'm saying? You know the sound bites
I gotta go
this clown be
meditate.
giving, but they were the idiot. Yeah, but they were the idiots to give this fool $60 million. That's all he here for. He here for the money. And once that's it, he gone. And they fell for it. So, hey, kudos to Aaron for getting his money, but the ass kicking you gonna catch, bro, I don't think it's worth it. We got some dudes coming for your ass for real.
And you can imagine how that New York media is going to be when they don't meet projections. They can be brutal. So
yeah, he walked himself into it. $60 million should help him get over it, I guess.
Yeah,
dummies.
It's so true. It's so true. An interesting thing here too that I thought that I wanted to show, because it seems like every year we're near the top of this, at least recently. If you look here, guys, we are number 3 we're gonna be number 3 in total mileage traveled. We're gonna travel 27,110 miles this season, and we're gonna be in 18 different time zones. So we are the 3rd most travel. It feels like especially with the London games and stuff, we've been top 3.
This to us, bro?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It feels like we're always near the top of this list. Doesn't it? Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Well, and then what you got to consider too is, since we're in the NFC East, we way down at the bottom. The other 3 teams are, 2 in New York and 1 in Massachusetts. So those away games. So normally people that's in the same division is a little bit closer. So that factors in. But yeah,
because we should be in the AFC South.
The
Colts should be in the AFC East, and we should be in the AFC South.
Why doesn't someone? Why? Why not Richmond? It makes perfect sense, bro. The way they got the teams aligned,
they don't want to break
doesn't
up.
Make
they
any
don't want
sense
to break
right
up our rivalries, bro. They don't want to break up our rivalries.
That's it, right? They're not gonna break up the rivalries, dog. That's it.
Man, that's about the dumbest shit I've ever heard, bro.
Because we'd be dominating the AFC South, bro. It'd be over.
Well, think about it. When I played, it was those 4 teams plus the Colts.
Yeah.
But then you look at it.
You played Manning in his rookie year, right?
Mm-hmm. But then think about it, BallGame. San Francisco, it was like San Francisco, the Rams, whether they was in St. Louis or LA, New Orleans, and Atlanta. How did Atlanta get way in the West? You know what I'm saying? It didn't make any sense.
How the hell does New Orleans get in the West? Yeah, that made no sense either.
Well, that's how it was back in the day, bro. It's just so I can't explain it, but they're not gonna break up some of those rivalries.
Create new ones. Create new ones.
Yeah. Well, us in Jacksonville,
changing, right?
Well, think about the Jacksonville. Look, Lawrence
the fight for
rivalry right now.
The fight for Florida.
Exactly.
The fight for Florida.
Money that would be right now. BallGame ain't wrong.
I'm not arguing. I'm not saying
the last 10 years to come out in the same division.
Young guns, man.
Ooh. Plus, come on, man. Like, what is this?
It's an hour flight up there, maybe. Hour flight home. Yeah. It makes perfect sense, but yeah, I think like BallGame said, it's the rivalries. They're not gonna break them up. So
yeah. All right. An interesting thing to me, I want to show you guys 2 things here. And then I want to present to you in the comment section and ask you guys where you would rank our wide receiver corps along the NFL. I'm going to show you guys a few things here, okay? So, Bleacher Report, they came out with an article, and they said NFL's top receiver groups after the 2023 NFL Draft. So, at 7, they had San Fran. At 6, they had us. Okay. They said, do you prefer considerable depth or high-end talent? I lean towards the latter, but the Dolphins are another great example to include in that debate. They're basically, their stance is we aren't in the top because we're so top-heavy, right? They have Seattle at 5. They have the Vegas Raiders at 4. The Chargers at 3. The Eagles at 2. And the Bengals at 1, which I think is just, okay.
That entire list is laughable.
Right there. All right. At the Bengals. So anyway, so Mike Clay, he comes out with his top, position duos every year. And he came out with this that I thought was quite interesting. He ranked his receiver unit ranks. He ranked us number 3. He had Cincy 1, Seattle 2, and us at 3. All right. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, all right, where would you rank us? Because I say, and listen, I'm going to give you guys a floor, and I'm going to give you guys a stat to roll with of why. I think we have the best wide receiver group in the NFL, top heavy or deep, however it doesn't matter. And this is why. When you look at the most receiving yards by two teammates in an NFL season, in year one, Hill and Waddle, third most ever. Right behind, look at 40 yards less than Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. Right? We remember how good Herman Moore and Brett Perryman were, especially Herman Moore was ridiculous. But look at only 108 yards less than them, and that was year one of these guys together. Okay? Listen, where do you guys rank us? Because, listen, when you talk about depth, the Seattle Seahawks and I think the Bengals are the only ones in the conversation. I would just flip the way he had them there. But where would you guys rank us? Because I think you look at that, especially, is anyone even close?
I don't have to look at it. I'm biased. I do believe, whether I'm biased or not, we definitely easily in the top 5. You know, like that guy say this and that. But when you put that Dolphin on the side of your helmet, that's what I'm riding around. And like you say, for them two, the numbers they put up last year, even though I don't get caught up in all the stats and whatever, the stats don't lie and speak for themselves.
Tua missed games too, Richmond. Imagine if Tua didn't miss those games, they would have beat those guys.
They'd have probably shattered that record if Tua didn't miss that game. So, you know, that's just to start a conversation about something, this and that. But we know the problems that defense has had to deal with trying to cover those two. You might cover one, but it's hell trying to keep both of those guys covered up. Eventually, you know, they're gonna find a leak in that wall, and they always did. So the big playability they had, this and that, hands down, I'm riding with Tyreek, Cheetah, and Waddle or whatever. So for me, we got the best receiving core in the NFL right now.
You can call me a homer, you can call me whatever you want, but you ain't gonna call me stupid. And the fact of the matter is, when you look at the numbers these guys put up, the numbers don't lie. People can lie and make up any list they want because they can be biased as hell. But when you look statistically at the numbers, they are number 1 and number 2 right now in the league. And combined together, they are a formidable duo that nobody can match up with and nobody has an answer for. And then you add in Sid, right, who is not Sherfield, but I believe he is a great number 3 right now. And you got a guy like Ezra Kama who's probably going to get some time on the field. All these things factor into the fact that you can have a Metcalf and you can have a Tyler Lockett, who I love to death, but at the same time, they're not putting up the same level of numbers, and the numbers was what matters the most. So if you're going off of just, I don't know what they're making these lists of, but they're definitely not looking at the statistics because the statistics don't lie. And, you know, that's what I'm going to rely on. Our guys had better numbers. Who's doing it better than them two? And if you want to just go with just a duo, who got a better duo? Hands down. No one. They can say whatever they want to say, but the numbers don't lie. And I didn't see Metcalf and Lockett's name on that list. I didn't see Keenan Allen and Mike Williams' name on that list. It's Waddle and Hill at number 3 all time for the most yards in the season. And at the end of the day, people can make it whatever list they want. But if their list don't comprise of the 2 guys right there being at the top of the list, then they full of shit, in my opinion. And I'm going to leave that there.
Yeah, because the whole top-heavy argument's kind of like, so 2 guys can give you the production of 4 receivers, and that's a bad thing? Like, you know, someone explain to me how that's a bad thing. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, they were historic, and their quarterback missed 5 games, right? Like, to the point where, you know, Skylar Thompson and Teddy Bridgewater didn't even throw a touchdown to those guys. You know, all their touchdowns, their 15 touchdowns between the 2 of them, all came from the left hand of God. So, and what's crazy too, and maybe this is why everyone's overhyping the Jets too, guys. When you look at the data and you look at the improvement index, you know, based on offseason roster moves and the draft value, the Jets lead the improvement index through May 8th. But a key thing here that people have to notice, when you look at us right there, right, we are down there at number 8. All right. What's crazy about this is there are only 2 teams in the top 13 here that made the playoffs, that are in the, you know, that are in the improvement index here, right? It's us and the Giants. And that's what's kind of crazy to me, that only 2 playoff teams have made. And so that should, that should give even more of an applause to Chris Greer and to the front office and what they're doing, because what does that tell you? Look at all down here, all the
Still
teams that
making
have
things
done,
better.
yeah, they're just, because listen, as much as, we love the Jalen Carter picks and the picks that the Eagles did, they lost Hargrave, they lost bodies, they lost Chancey Gardner-Johnson, right? Like,
Right.
you look at you look at this, but you look at other teams like the Bengals or Kansas City. What does this chart tell me? They're not looking to improve. They're happy with what they have and they're running it back. And everyone said, listen, we were a stacked team last year and injuries held us back in the secondary and at the quarterback position. But we still continued to add on, even though we know, we were better than a first-round playoff team last year. We are all in. This continues to show how all in this team is right now. So, guys, maybe that's why the Jets are getting so much love, because by the improvement index, they are the number 1 this offseason so far.
Yeah, but they're still gonna be the Jets.
Well, it lets you look at the top 4 or 5. You got the Jets, the Texans, the Bears. All those teams needed
Bottom
to make
feeders.
fast. Yeah, so it's like it's all in what you read it, and like I say, it's another way to get the fan base hyped up. This and that, they're selling a dream, and people are buying into it. And then, we're the most improved, so we should do this and that. And then when it don't happen, then they're gonna be pissed off. But hey,
what they tell you, Richmond? You can shine up a turd all you want, but at the end of the day, that was still a turd, right? It's still a turd. It's still a turd.
Well, that's why I think it's key to see which teams in that index made the playoffs and where they land, right? If you were a playoff team last year and you're in the top 10 of improvement, that means you should be vastly better. And if you're already a playoff team, you should be making a run here, right? Knight says, don't tell the Bengals fans that. LOL, bunch of crybabies. All right, Louis Riddick, guys. He thinks that the Dolphins are the team you got to roll through in the AFC East. This is what he said.
Smart man. I agree.
Yeah, Field, I think consistently I have ridden with Miami. And I believe really the only thing that will stop Miami this year, and look, obviously, and it's not something that everyone doesn't know. It's going to be Tua's health. That's what would slow down Miami. Because let's just say, if he can play 3 quarters of the season and at the very least, will really most importantly be healthy once they get into the playoffs, this team could very much so be a contender, not just in the East, but in the AFC overall, and really challenge Kansas City for representation in the Super Bowl. I love the additions that they've made on the offensive side of the football, especially, let's just say, at running back with the drafting of a guy like Devin Achane, who just makes them even more explosive out of the backfield. And then on defense, look, Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is the number 1 prize landing for any football team, I believe, in this whole free agency offseason, because of what he's going to do in terms of bringing the kind of mentality and the kind of X and O expertise to the defensive side that they haven't had. That's going to push them over the top. That's what I think makes them the favorite in the East.
So I also saw someone say too, boys, regarding DeFangio, Chuck Pagano said that even if people didn't have a defensive coordinator opening, they wanted Vic Fangio. That's how much people respect and love Vic Fangio. Chuck Pagano thinks we're going to have a top 5 defense. A lot of people pretty much think we're going to have a top 10 offense, top 10 defense. We know what that can be a recipe for. What are your guys' thoughts on Louis Riddick there? Because, gentlemen, he not only has been an avid Tua supporter, but he was very confident that as long as Tua is healthy, they're not just a contender in the East. They are a contender to represent. He put us on the same level as the Chiefs. He basically said it could be them or the Chiefs that represents the AFC in the Super Bowl. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Bro, when you think about how much success they had in the even though Tua missed those last few games, you can't help but look at and want to project out what it would be if he stayed healthy. Like, they were on pace. They were on pace to shatter records, bro. And when people felt like teams figured them out, you have a couple games that are bad and teams can go out and do amazing things. That San Francisco defense is definitely one of the best defense in the land. But at the end of the day, they caught us on a day that they were just better. It is what it is. That's going to happen. But I don't think if we played the San Francisco 49ers if we played them 5 times, I feel like we beat them 3 out of 5 times. To be truthful with you, I think we figure them out or so before they figure us out. And that's just the truth of the nature, because we've added pieces that are going to enhance what Mike's going to be able to do. And I think when you take into consideration what Riddick is saying, he's saying with a healthy tour, that's all we need. Everything else is in place. As long as he stay upright, they're gonna go back and continue the work that they did last year, and they're gonna shock this. Man, it's gonna be crazy trying to figure out how to stop this thing. Right? Health is always going to be the one thing that you can never factor. You have to worry about it because it's so prominent and it's at a position that really and truthfully we need the stability at. But if he can do it, bro, which I believe he's putting the time and the effort in that possible, he can go back out there, bro, and we can do this team is going to do some crazy things, and it's going to. Yeah, I don't. You look at the roster, stack them up. Shit, I said we got a better roster than Kansas City. To be truthful with you,
yeah,
especially way deeper. Defense. So, not far fetched. I don't think Riddick anywhere out of the ballpark with his comments. They'd be the same ones I'd make. They just got to go out and do it. Dolphins got to go out and do it. They have the potential to do that and so much more. So, and I believe they will.
What are your thoughts, Richmond?
Yeah, I think you hit the key. And I think everybody knows that with the way everything is set up, especially the offense, is key that Tua stays healthy. And if he does that, like we were just talking about the wide receiver debate, I believe we shattered that record with the combination of Tyreek and Waddle at position. But not only Tua staying healthy, but other guys staying, Tyreek, Waddle, a Teron Armstead on offense, all that plays a huge key in everything continue to go the way it is. And then if you look at it, he's seen what Mike McDaniel can do. So what we all knew was we needed to just match somebody on the defensive side with the offensive side. And then we signed, Fangio as the defensive coordinator. So like you just said, we have a top 10 offense. We should probably be top 10 defense with that guy once he puts his scheme in. And then you sign a guy like Ramsey and X, you got 2 shutdown corners, and you got Chubb, Phillips, he's going to be able to turn those guys loose. It could be scary. That's the thing I think the key is just staying healthy. As long as they can stay healthy, I think, we get in the playoffs, the sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, because someone said in the comments, Scotty Joe said, they're the only team that can outscore them. Outscore the Chiefs. Do you really believe that we have turned in because defensively how we've been built with the talent we've acquired and the people we've put in place, along with what we have offensively? You look at the last couple of years, everyone thought the Bills were that team. Do you think because of them losing Leslie Frazier, some pieces on defense, do you think that narrative might shift where people might see this year that, okay, the Dolphins are the team that have the best chance to outscore the Kansas City Chiefs if it gets into that kind of game, or to keep a team like Kansas City at bay with our defense? Do you think that, because if you look at it, boys, last year we looked like, oh my God, we're going to be an offensive juggernaut. This year we look like, oh my Lord, they might have balanced it out where we could be a juggernaut on both sides of the ball, right? So do you think, and I think that's what frustrates people with the offensive line, guys, because if you just tweak a few spots on the offensive line, there's no argument. You have the most complete team in the NFL, right? If you tweak that right tackle and left guard, you can make an argument with anyone that we have the most complete team in the NFL. And I think that's what frustrates everyone, because we're so close to that. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you think we are one of, if not the only team that can really defensively and offensively stand toe-to-toe with a juggernaut like the Chiefs, maybe?
I think once Fangio gets his defense dialed in and we're healthy and they're healthy, they have a great offense, but I think he definitely can slow that offense down. I don't think it'll be just a track meet. We scoring, we this and that. He's pretty good at being able to counter this and that. it'll be a hell of a chess match between him and Andy Reid, going back and forth. I mean, I know they got players over there, this and that, but when you got, like I say, you got Ramsey and you got Holland. Holland match up with Kelsey. You're gonna be able to neutralize a lot of their offensive production. That's what I believe. And I don't think their defense is on the same level as our defense. If you look at the guys they have over there, this and that. So it ain't nothing but to play it. But I understand what people say, but I think people don't truly understand what Fangio brings to this team with his defensive team. And once it gets set up, everybody's always, score. But like you said with Buffalo, Leslie Frazier's out. We talked about Dabo. He took the job at New York Giants. So to lose two coordinators year after year, that's huge. So really, we stay healthy. We should be the team that everybody's kind of looking at to say, this is really the team that you got to really be concerned with in the AFC East.
I see us a lot like Hagler versus Hearns.
Ooh,
right?
Easy. That's a mean one there, bro.
I'm just telling you, that's why I see it. You got everything you need in this to be built as the super fight between the two perennial teams in the AFC at this point. We're built different than they are in terms of our defense. I think our defense is equipped and more talented than their defense. Their offense is going to be predicated on this. It's going to be built on the shoulders of Mahomes and Kelsey, because can't nobody tell me who their top wide receiver is right now. I'll wait.
Oh, I know who it is. Then last week a report came out that internally they believe Kadarius Toney's going to be their number one.
So I'll say again, their number one receiver over there is Travis Kelce, the tight end. Okay,
yeah.
So, but we know who our dog is down in Miami, and we know who his sidekick is, and it's a hell of a sidekick. I'll take our guys any day against what they got going on. And I think without a shadow of a doubt, when it comes down to it, it's going to be one hell of a slugfest, but our defense will prevail and put us in position to get stops that's going to turn into more points for us. That's going to be the case in a lot of games. I don't think there's going to be a lot of teams. Once Vic has his defense dialed in, bro, I'm legitimately believing that they're going to be able to keep and hold teams to like 13, 17 points a game. And we'll be somewhere up in the 31, 35 points a game. And that's steam, that's progress, because that's the expectation. You have all of this talent at our disposal, and I think Mike's going to do an amazing job of deploying it. There won't be these situations where there's this uncertainty about what we're doing. You know what we're doing. We're going vertical. We're going to force you to do what we want to do. You don't get to dictate to us. There won't be a lot of more games like San Diego Chargers where we didn't expect them to come out and bump and press us the way they did. You know what I mean? We prepared for that.
Yeah, but imagine if we had Fangio last year. If we had Fangio last year, he would have watched one quarter of that and he told Mike McDaniel, "This is how you beat that. There you go.
Beat it.
Go get him, kid."
Yeah.
Right?
That's it. This is crazy when you think about it, though, right? This team legitimately has two head coaches.
Yeah,
one for the offense, one for the defense, and they get to look at each other. I got you.
They're like the young offensive version and the old defensive version of each other. Like, they're geniuses. Like, honestly, bro, like, listen, we've always said, we could be a fly on the wall, draft season. Like, I honestly, if you said to me you could pick anyone on the Dolphins to go out to dinner with, I think I would go out with Fangio and Mike McDaniel. And Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
The conversations of football you'd have, you'd walk away a smarter person after 3 hours, bro.
Yeah. Or I get
and
a job.
Throw Bevel in there too, because I love Bevel too. So, anyways,
I'm gonna dazzle the shit out of him. He gonna offer me a job.
I wanted to read this to you guys because Omar Kelly put this out, and I thought it was very interesting about Chosen Anderson. I'm gonna read it here, and it shows how he cherry picked the Dolphins to resurrect his NFL career. This decision wasn't predetermined or a last resort. If you listen to Chosen Anderson, signing with the Miami Dolphins was predestined. The team's newest veteran receiver grew up a Dolphins fan during the Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas era of the franchise, back when a 9 to 11 win regular season was the norm. This is a dream come true to be a Dolphin, said Anderson, who changed his name from Robbie Anderson to Chosen this offseason for reasons he won't disclose just yet because I want to keep it intimate. Anytime he driven by Hard Rock, which he affectionately calls Joe Robbie, like so many longtime Dolphin fans do, going back to the venue's original name, Anderson said there would be a special feeling that came over him. It was as if the stadium was speaking to him, calling him. When he played inside the stadium as a member of the Jets and the Panthers, the 7-year veteran routinely would stay behind and take pictures on the field with friends and family members. So when the opportunity came to finally join the Dolphins, the Weston resident deliberated for 2 days before agreeing to a 1-year deal for $1.1 million, which included a $150,000 signing bonus that would allow him to live out a childhood dream. My heart led me to being here, Anderson said Tuesday at the conclusion of an on-field workout with his new teammates. There was a short list of teams willing to give this colorful but reserved receiver a chance to resurrect his career following his toughest NFL season, but his mind was made up. We didn't promise him anything, Chris Greer said about Anderson. We said we've got some good young players here that are pushing for time, and he understands that. It was the respect Anderson held for Tua Tagovailoa and his skill set that lured him. I have a lot of respect for him, seeing what he's gone through throughout his career, Anderson said, likely referring to Tagovailoa's college injuries, the challenges he had with the former head coach Brian Flores, his battle with concussions. The prospect of being coached by Wes Welker, a longtime NFL standout who enters his second season as Miami's receivers coach, also enticed him. I'm thankful to be coached by someone who played at such a high level, Anderson said about Welker. And a bond he developed with head coach Mike McDaniel during his multiple recruiting visits to Miami facilities sold him. We had instant chemistry, he said about McDaniel. Anderson is working on impressing his new coaches to the point he just doesn't earn a spot on the 53-man roster, but also locks down a role playing alongside Hill and Waddle, who he labeled the best receiver duo in the NFL last year. I'm a firm believer you are the company you keep, said Anderson, whose forte is strengthening the field with his speed and catching deep balls. Now, he goes into it here, and we'll stop there, but he goes into it and he discusses, that's one of the reasons why he had Tua's jersey when he made the announcement, is just how much he respects the player. And you see, this is a dream come true for a player. Now, I wanted to bring this up because BallGame, when we were talking about receivers earlier in the receiver corps, none of us gave Chosen Anderson his flowers. And He's a guy who could beat out Cedric, right? He's a guy, Braxton, I think Braxton Berrios is going to settle in as our 3 because I think he'll be our primary slot guy. Exactly. And then I think, Chosen will back up Hill or Waddle on the boundary and be our primary, backup boundary guy. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. Let's start with you, Richmond. You see a player like this, he's basically painting the whole dream came true scenario, coming back home, playing here on the cheap, coming into a loaded room, knowing it's going to be a challenge to even make it. Do you think people are underestimating him and selling him short, given how talented this guy is? And you think he's just getting lost in the fray with how much talent we already have?
No, I think he understands what he's up against. He's a veteran, so he's not like a guy fresh out of college. I think he knows he's going to have to put in to make this football team. And you can look at the way the Dolphins signed him by just giving him $1 million, not much money up front to say, hey, you got to make this football team. That's what I said just in that bit. For him that's trying to make a comeback, I mean, he said, if I make this team, I'm going to eat, because he sees how accurate Tua is with the football and delivers. So even if he signs a 1-year deal, and he doesn't have to have the numbers that Tyreek and Waddle have, but if he's very productive, he's back out on the free agent market again. He's fixed that, and, somebody else will sign him. Or, if he's really happy here, maybe he's willing to take a little less money, but they would have to definitely, reward him for, his production on the football field. So he knows exactly what he's up against. He knows it's not going to be easy to make this football team, but he does know if I make this football team and I could be the 3rd or 4th receiver, especially after Gesicki, is gone and this and that, and I go out there and produce and make big plays and stuff like that, his money gonna shoot right back up. So I think he's willing. He's betting on himself. He's willing to take a gamble on himself, and he's in a great situation. So he's looking and say, "Hey, this is a team that should go to the playoffs easily. We just got to stay healthy." And yeah, he sees that. So yeah, that's the way I see it.
What are your thoughts, BallGame? Because I'm interested, because I know you'd love a player like this because you can tell the dogs in him still.
I think the most important thing is that he's proven himself in other spaces where he's been. And listen, man, it's antics that wide receivers are divas. So I don't hold anything in it. I don't any of that stuff like that against players. If you got a desire to be out here and compete and want to come and help my squad, especially be better, I'm all for it. One thing for certain is the dude is fast and he can catch. So you can't ever have enough speed. So you take a player, need a couple breathers here, Water need a breather, put him in. You don't lose your speed. You don't use your speed advantage, and he can go get it with the best of them. So that's always a plus. And yeah, hell, he might even challenge Said for that spot because Said's not a burner. That's for certain.
No,
he's not a burner. He's definitely not the quickest guy. And Barrios is pretty fast too. So if you gonna rank him in terms of speed, you got to go with Hill, Waddle, Anderson, and then Barrios, and then Said is coming in last in that category. So it is what it is. But he's got a proven track record coming in with him. He's been productive, like I said.
But BallGame, like I'm even seeing Eazy-E put in more off-season work with Tua and the boys than I've seen Cedric put in with them. That's another reason why I think I'm expecting Eazy-E might even leap Cedric, because you look at Braxton landed and he started putting in work with Waddle and his footwork team and coming out to perform. You know what I mean? Chosen's putting in work with these guys. You see Eazy-E's constantly putting in work with them heavy. That's like BallGame. Like it looks like Cedric's kind of like accepted the fact that. And it looks like he's kind of accepted it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But
the proof is in the pudding, and you can only go off of the actions of the man. So, at the end of the day, he can look around the room and read the room and figure out, I might be the odd guy out. He's a smart. He's been around long enough. The one thing for certain that, if anybody's going to go through the process of ranking and saying what's the top skill set of the Dolphin wide receivers, speed, and Says not a burner. So he's not.
Man.
So
good point.
I think the good thing too is when you hear all these guys down there working out together,
camaraderie,
getting the chemistry. Yeah, it's just you're getting all these reps together. You start kind of figuring out, and I remember that was a big thing that Brady used to do with his receivers in the offseason, bring them together, and you don't even have to say something sometimes because you just get so familiar. That's a really good thing. So I'm definitely happy to hear all of them working out together.
Yeah, for sure. Final thoughts, guys, before we get out of here?
Go Heat. Yeah, just I think we covered some great topics. I think you educated the people on some of the the stats and stuff like that. This came out as far as improvement rates, and that just a different way to kind of look at it, give them a different perspective, just in that. And I think you and BallGame, we all kind of try to do a good job of educating them. I think that's why we have a pretty good following of people looking forward to listening in to us, and I definitely appreciate that. But no, I think it was a great show. I think you came up with some really good topics, and I'm gonna just go chill out and watch the Heat and see if they can go and take care of the Knicks tonight. Other than
down by 5 minutes left, 97-91.
I'm still riding with them. It ain't
Plenty
over
of time.
yet. So yeah.
Go ahead, BallGame. Final thoughts?
I think the biggest thing for me right now, man, is truly looking at where we are and what we have, right? And when you go deep dive into the roster, it is by far one of the most stacked rosters in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I keep saying this over and over again, and I keep saying this so that football gods will hear it and bless us with staying clear away from us with that injury bug this year. And as long as they do that, we're going to be hell to deal with, bro. Like, if we can just bypass that injury bug and just week in and week out, just execute the plan that Mike gonna put in place and Vic will put in place for this defense. I think the Dolphins are gonna be they're gonna be a formidable team to deal with week in and week out. And if they treat every week now in this season, if it's a playoff game, then you'll get the highest level of output from every player. And I don't think there's gonna be many teams that can match that week to week.
Yep.
And it just makes you that much more ready for the playoffs because by that point, you don't have to, what they say, you don't have to, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right?
That's it.
That's it.
All right, guys, there's still over 350 of you in the room. Smash that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you are new. Tomorrow we'll be live. It starts at 8 o'clock. The schedule release. We'll be live a little bit before that. Me and Neil for a NFL schedule release spectacular. And then on top of that, I'll be dropping my Devin A-Chain prospect profile this week. I wanted to add something to what we were, to what we were just talking about. And, I want to talk about Chosen for a little sec because I didn't get to expand a little bit more on it. It's, to see a player want to be here and to see a player taking on that kind of challenge. I mean, look at the people that's ahead of him. I mean, that's a difference between, that's the difference I'm starting to sense between a guy like him and a guy like Cedric. He's walking fresh into the room, ready to take on Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and these guys that he knows are better than him head on. Well, it feels like a guy like Cedric Wilson, he's getting complacent because he's getting paid. And it is what it is, man. And I think those type of people eventually get weeded out, right? And, when this roster is as stacked as we were just talking about, BallGame, this is, man, this is a similar stacked roster to when we had all those great rosters in the 2000s, but we were relying on Jay Fiedler, man. But now we actually have a quarterback. So, man, I mean, it's I'll say this is the best roster I've seen since Marino was on this team. So exciting times.
He better not play.
Go ahead.
He better not play himself because he can play himself right up out of here because they definitely got enough talent on this wide receiver core that he will not be missed.
Yeah.
And he just brought in a guy that can also do kickoffs, and punt return, and all that stuff. So don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
You ain't safe, buddy.
All right, guys. I think they're down 102-98 with 3.5 minutes left. We're gonna get out of here. Appreciate all y'all. Smash that like button. Fins up all day, every day. I'll see all y'all tomorrow night.